Alright guys, Scrappy again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. OpTic made one of the roster changes of all time yesterday. Pred is gone for the team. Hook is now back in for the millionth time, and everyone is explaining exactly why this decision was made. Shotzzy comes out with a very interesting couple of statements on stream last night, suggesting that the initial change back in December, Hook for Pred, was out of their control, whatever that means. He then refuses to say any more on the matter for fear of it being clipped, but of course, it got clipped and we're going to talk about it. Karma as well reveals there were discussions about swapping Pred and Kenny in terms of the roles, but Pred did not agree to that decision, and Scump even gives his thoughts on the fact that the team was simply doing terribly and a change had to be made. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. We're going to start with a couple of other roster changes going down, starting with the Gentlemates. Now, it seems that after all the words from Gataga on stream and everything like that, they are going to pull the trigger on potentially moving away from the French direction. Now, of course, we talked about Whalers maybe coming in as a coach over there, but according to rumours, Lynz is going to be gone, and Johnny, who won the most recent Challengers tourney with Omid and was the MVP, as I said, it was a big tournament to win. I don't know if there was an official MVP, but he was playing very well the event. He's been in the league before, and it's expected that Lynz will be gone. Now, I think with Lynz, there is talent there, but his decision making is not always the best, and he's certainly no HyDra. So that's the thing for Gentlemates. At the end of the day, the French fans will support that team regardless. They would like to have a French player. Lynz just may not be the man for it. You know, they could go and get a guy like Cobra, not impossible. Maybe he's an option, because I think getting Lunarz, you know, the play style that Lunarz had in Challengers. Lunarz is a talented player, but I just still don't think that he's the guy they needed. Certainly not with Skies and Priestahh when they're on the team. Priestahh, of course, is still there, but maybe he's going to be gone. I guess we'll see in due course what they decide to do. This as well is the Miami Heretics. They are going to make a change, and can you believe it? Kenny avoided the Burger King. I'm actually mind blown at this, but yeah, it's funny really. But you know what I'm talking about here. Every season, every stage, the worst player of the stage gets the Lineman Burger King card. It was King Abuzah in stage 1, and well, here we go with Lucky. It's not Kenny, can you believe it? Kenny's numbers, KD, were obviously horrific, but Lucky's card was actually worse than I thought, and his objective work was terrible, whereas Kenny's was actually a little bit better. Not good, but a little bit better. So Kenny somehow got saved from the Burger King, so you know, he never has a Burger King card. Lucky did get it, and obviously feel a bit bad about making the Burger King cards, but to be fair, Lucky was already dropped before these went out. So yeah, they'd made the decision. Rencourt, ReeaL, they've both been on fire, obviously. ReeaL was linked to OpTic, let's not forget, and he was also linked to Toronto before the off-season began, or like ended. They eventually got, I mean, yeah, they got JoeDeceives instead, but they were looking at ReeaL instead. Both of them have been excellent, of course, but it's very much been a tale of two halves, right? Because Rencourt and ReeaL have been mostly on fire. Metals and Lucky haven't. Lucky was their worst performer this stage, and of course, inevitably, he was replaced by Super. So it's honestly a decision that they could have made after Major 1, but of course, they came top 3 after Major 1, so they weren't going to do it. Now, though, it makes sense because the roster is kind of spiraling. They're spiraling towards not making it towards the World Championship, so that's a decision that they have made, and potentially more roster changes to come as well. The Falcons is still on everyone's lips what they are going to do, whether it's going to be Fellow or, you know, what the decisions they're going to make is, because there are quite a few they could make, and let's not forget, Pred and Kenny are on the market, but Hook no longer is, as we shall discuss here in a second. Now, speaking of Kenny, he was linked to the Ravens. Heard about this a couple of days ago. We talked about it in the video yesterday, that Kenny to Ravens was a possibility. Now, Kenny is a free agent, no longer tied to OpTic, but according to Zuma in this clip, due to contractual money-related issues, this is not going to be a done deal. Now, this, again, is Ravens, I think, on some level being Ravens. I do also wonder what happened behind the scenes in terms of what they said to the team, because my understanding is the team, you know, assuming Slash is kind of the captain, Brian Sainz as the coach, they had decided that they were going to say to Vivid, okay, Vivid, it's been a pleasure, but we're going to bring Kenny in instead. We think this risk is worth the risk, as it were. Then, I don't know if they told Vivid that, and assuming that Kenny would join, and then all of a sudden, it's now no longer going to be Kenny anymore, and Vivid is now presumably still there. So, you know, that's kind of the weird thing for me, is that if they've told Vivid, like, hey, it's been a pleasure, and we're going to get Kenny, and now they're like, oh, actually, hang on, sorry, Reese, can you come back, please? Like, it's not really going to make for the best team environment, potentially, but, look, these guys are professionals. I guess they'll try and deal with it. The same thing happened with Surge with Pred, and, you know, Pred was going to go to OpTic, and that whole team dynamic was kind of weird for the rest of that season on Surge. But according to Zoom anyway, contracts, money, that's what's caused some of the issues here, which sounds to me that Kenny feels like he should be able to get paid a bag the Ravens are probably not willing to pay. And if Falcons didn't exist, I imagine that Kenny would probably have to accept, you know, a salary befitting a 0.3, respectfully. Rather than, with Falcons existing, he can still charge a salary for a two-time world champion, as it were. And, you know, I think that's what's interesting for me, is that presumably here, the guys on Ravens wanted to get this deal done, but it's not going to happen because they can't afford what Kenny wants. That at least is the way that I read this, but intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. And whether anyone can pay what Kenny wants, that is a question, but, you know, the Falcons question is a very interesting one we'll come to in a second. So this was confirmed last night. I thought it was interesting, actually, that even Blake over at OpTic was in the replies kind of being like, oh my god, I cannot believe it's happening again. The one very interesting thing that I will say on this Pred situation, because of course he did a couple of tweets yesterday, you know, here's him with his ring. I mean, you know, great tweet, phenomenal shot as well here from Simp. And he did the other tweet as well saying appreciate the green wall. Again, there was no one in his replies. And to me, this definitely says something about what's happened there internally, right? Now, of course, he got plenty of replies from, like, everyone in the community, but notably, no pro players, really, at all. And it's, you know, there's got to be something in this, because typically when a pro steps away or is dropped or whatever, you know, you see a number of pros in the replies to their tweets, certainly their own teammates, tweeting about it and saying, you know, appreciate your time on the team, it's been a pleasure, sorry it didn't work out or anything like that. But, you know, we don't get any of that, right? None of his teammates are in the replies, none of his teammates are, you know, tweeting about it. And, I mean, I don't know, it's just a little bit strange, right? I mean, I can't be alone in thinking this, right? That there's clearly something to this, because Dashy's only tweet on it was tweeting at Octane about this, you know, these songs from A Day to Remember, and same team, Bad Blood Miracle. And it's like, you know, some people are reading this and saying that it had nothing to do with the roster change. I find it an impossible coincidence if he's tweeted this to Octane just because he likes this new album. And sure, he likes the album, right? And he's talking about Octane about it. But, you know, are you like, surely there's got to be something more to it, given the fact that he's specifically used the same team, Bad Blood and Miracle songs to kind of, I don't know, is he trying to say something, or is it just a random coincidence? I kind of doubt it, personally, but intrigued to your thoughts in the comments. That was Dashy's only real tweet yesterday, and Shotzzy didn't tweet anything. He just said ranked, and he's going live for the night. So, I don't know, it just says to me that things there at OpTic clearly weren't exactly great, and that's to say the very least, and I think Shotzzy certainly implies it, right? That there were things outside of their control this season that affected that roster, and some things inside of their control, I'd imagine, as well. Scump says they couldn't win a map, and of course they got 3-0'd by Toronto too, and Toronto looked great that series, sure, they 3-0'd Thieves as well, but they came top 3, it's not like they won the event emphatically, so I think that OpTic knew that a change was necessary. Donny Temp said it on stream the other day that he thought that team internally was absolutely chalked, and they needed to make a two-man change, and that's now what they followed through with. Hook and Skies are in, Pred and Kenny are gone, and it's a huge day in the history of OpTic. I mean, they obviously won the World Championship in 2017, did a similar thing in 2018, and history has repeated itself. See you all in 7 years, I guess, for the next OpTic World Championship. But Shotzzy talks about it, and what Shotzzy said on stream, in some ways was kind of remarkable. I mean, there was this clip where he said, look, love AG, but it's business, baby, right? And the implication kind of being that, oh, the warlord is out in force. And yeah, I mean, look, it's not saying that Shotzzy was the only man to have made this decision, but Shotzzy's clearly not going anywhere, and Shotzzy's read on it is that, yeah, things weren't working out, and business is business. If you're not performing, if the team isn't working well with that in the roster, money needs to be made, world championships need to be tried to be, you know, defended, then Pred had to go, and that was Shotzzy's POV. There was also this very interesting clip from Karma, so I wanted to share this one, and I also wanted to share what Shotzzy had to say on the initial Pred move back in December, being, as he describes it, out of their control.
At least when we brought AG back compared to like Major 1, I feel like our search was abysmal.
Yeah, it was bad.
FaZe donated $5.
Like, if our respawns
what about
are
Gwinn or
bad, then I mean,
TJ
it's
to
even
flex
worse.
and Pred as a sub on
But I
Ravens
think
since
like
the Kenny thing
being
fell
good
through?
at searches can just carry us a long way. You know, hey, maybe our respawns get worse. Who fucking knows? Maybe they don't, but I think our S&D
I don't
like
hate
just
that.
needed to be good, and it really just wasn't. That's about as simple as I could put it.
Yeah, no, I mean, Kyler's
I don't hate that.
definitely, he was doing his
Quiet
thing in
thing with
searches.
32. Appreciate you, bro.
And he
I
was
don't hate
clutching
that.
up
Yeah.
a lot. I mean,
Yeah, no. I mean, I that's one of the biggest things I'm excited for is I think our search right off the bat should be pretty good. And
okay.
I mean, yeah, to what you said, that's like the only shit thing is like, dude, I love Canon AG, and dude, I wish it would have worked. But I mean, Ken's decline went away rapidly when we brought away back AG. Like, I mean, he wasn't that bad,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, the team as a whole kind of just fucking plummeted when we did that. And you know, honestly, at first, it wasn't that bad when we first got back.
Yeah, well, Ant was saying scrims were going well, and then whenever the matches would roll
they
around,
were.
it just would kind of same problems
were.
would come out, and
it's just like, I don't know. I feel like if anybody actually knows Call of Duty right now is like the AG Ant duo, it just wasn't working. Like it truly wasn't. That's like the best way I could put it.
You talk about like
The AG on a flex. Yeah.
oh yeah,
Like, just shut up about it.
Why not just move Pred to a flex and then
That doesn't want to. There you go.
There you go. Boom.
There you
Damon
go.
Barlow.
Shout out, Damon.
Stevie
yeah.
4.
Thank you, Damon.
Slowly.
Listen, what AG did for the for OpTic, man, will never listen, bro. Listen. Y'all see the relationship me and AG have? Like, bro, we were fucking brothers, dude. Like, I love AG. Sometimes it's just business, bro. That's the way I look at this shit. Unfortunately. Unfucking-fortunately. Yeah, so don't fucking be weird towards AG. If anything, fucking diss us before you guys diss AG. I mean, obviously, you just can't even say anything specific, but like, let's just say it was under our control, okay? That thing was kind of out of our control. Actually, you know what? No. Actually, no, never mind. Let me not say shit. Because then, no. I'm not gonna say shit because it's gonna get clipped, this and that, and then no. I'm good. Listen, bro. Hey, I'm keeping my head down, and I'm just grinding, bro. Straight up. I'm too open, bro. See, that's the thing about me, dude.
So Karma's perspective here, very insightful. Their search was bad. Their search should be better with the new team, you'd think. Certainly with Hook back in, I think their search and destroy does, get helped out to some degree. As he said, the duo with AG and Shotzzy just wasn't working. It wasn't working really for a large time last year, but it was working. It just wasn't as good as it could have been. This year, they were hoping to get up to speed quickly after Pred came back. That did clearly not happen at all. AG and Kenny, it wasn't working out either. Potentially they're bringing the worst out of each other. Look, who really knows? It's just difficult to say exactly what happened internally, right? Because when Pred comes back, whose decision was that? Did Kenny want Pred back? That was the implication at the time, because Kenny did that stream where he was criticizing some of Hook's plays. So the reads that people had was that, oh, well, Kenny and Shotzzy, or whoever, because, rumor had it that Shotzzy made the call. Well, that's what Formal said. Although Shotzzy said that's not really how it happened, so who really knows what's going on? But the bottom line, again, is that they brought Pred back into the team. Maybe Kenny wanted that, maybe he didn't. But as soon as Pred did return, Kenny fell off a cliff and didn't seem to want to be there. So, that's just my read on it. This was the other interesting point, right? Because I've said this for, months it feels like at this point. Why didn't they try Pred to the flex and Kenny to the sub? They should have at least tried it, right? And I was firmly in the opinion they should have tried it before they, eventually comes too far. They have to make a roster change. But presumably, Karma mentions it, that they at least discussed it internally. And Pred said that he didn't want to do it. And it's interesting, right? How do you read this? Because if you're Pred, you've now been dropped, right? So, if you're Pred and the team is saying, hey, we think we should try you going to the flex and Kenny going to the sub and Pred says, no, I ain't doing that, then, what's worse, right? Going to a flex and trying that out or getting dropped. So he's now been dropped. So I guess congratulations on that one. But so Karma clearly just feels like it was inevitable this had to happen. The thing that Shotzzy said, though, super fascinating. And I want to know your guys' perspective on this because there's been lots of speculation. Of course, we know the rumors as to why Pred, what the issue with Pred was. There was all the gambling rumors, of course, back in December. And, mean, look, there was still plenty of tweets in the timeline at the time. It's not like there's massive evidence on this, but, you know, we can't overlook the fact that there were a few Challengers players, I think aBeZy among others, tweeting out, you know, screenshots of Pred asking them for money and this type of stuff. So it's not like there isn't evidence that exists in that kind of domain. But obviously it's still massively speculation, and I genuinely don't know what Shotzzy is talking about here. So everything that we do here is purely speculation, but the idea that Pred was gone and then he was back in, because Shotzzy in mid-January said, Pred is not coming back, like, stop talking about it. So, like, was Shotzzy lying to us because the possibility was there for Pred to come back, or did he genuinely not know? Like, my feeling now is almost that he genuinely didn't know that Pred's return was an option, and it just raises questions as to why, right? Because, you know, again, the way that Pred came back in for Hook, look, maybe it was Kenny wanting Hook gone and Pred back in, but I don't know if I really buy that, because as soon as Pred returned, it felt like Kenny didn't want to be there. So it's tough to say. Maybe Pred was gone for some other reason. You know, Shotzzy says it was out of their control. Now, what does that mean? Out of the players' control? As in, like, you know, Hex and the team management said, look, Pred's got to go, and it's not necessarily something that Shotzzy wanted to do? Or, you know, are we talking about a league thing? I guess that's the other possibility. And Shotzzy says, oh, I better not say any more on this. So, you know, obviously, again, Leaksy has managed to stir up a bit of controversy, because obviously by Shotzzy saying that it was out of their control and then saying, I better not say any more, obviously it kind of has set the rumour mill alight in terms of what this actually could mean. Because, you know, out of OpTic's control or out of Shotzzy's control, out of the team's control, what exactly is that? Because that makes a difference in terms of why Pred was gone in the first place, and then Pred comes back in, which even that change was questionable, given that they'd been the #1 seed, not had a good major, sure, but Hook was maybe their best player at the major, so you could have argued sticking it out longer was justified, but you know, they didn't. Pred came back in because it seemed like he was available again, although Shotzzy seemed almost surprised that was the case, and now he's gone. So yeah, I don't know, that's my opinion. We're going to leave it fair for today. Intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below, as always. And just the final thing to mention on Pred, really, is that, okay, where next for Pred? Shotzzy said it's Cloud9. Cloud9's the team that makes the most sense for him, which I think is absolutely true on paper. Cloud9 would be the team that you know, would make sense if they could potentially make that work. I think that's a very interesting thing to keep an eye on. But really the next step for Rostermania here is what's going on with Falcons, because presumably they're doing something. We're pretty sure that they are going to be doing something. Zuma was talking about it as well last night. Is Pred an option there? Is Kenny an option there? I mean, some people are talking, what about Pred and Kenny on the Falcons team if they're going to make a change and start dropping some bags for some top players? I mean, you know, Pred is, you know, a Muslim player, right? So maybe there's something that, I don't know if that's really relevant to Falcons, but they may want kind of like a face of the team in that sense if they're going to move on from the Saudi project. Do Pred and Kenny want to play together? In my opinion, I agree with Denza. I don't think they necessarily do. That's just my feeling. But that may not be true, who knows? But yeah, Falcons may, if they are going to play it up, want to choose one or the other. But yeah, intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.